talking about the Titans here. The Titans.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's gone. And it's gone. It is bedlam at the bank.
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Podcast right here. You already know. Go fucking subscribe.
You are now listening to the 302 Birds Phillies postgame show with KJ McCoy, Ballpark Tommy, Dalt, and Fratty. Proudly powered by TickPick. Check out the link in the bio for $10 off your first order today. Let's take it to the show.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to a beautiful Phillies post-game show. You know why? Because the Phillies finally had a laugher out in Colorado, out in Denver. 10-1, your final score. Beautiful afternoon for a beautiful offensive showdown. We got Jonah Castle in the house tonight, making his first appearance on the 302 network. How we doing, my friend?
I am fantastic, man. I love a game where I have to not sweat whatsoever. 6 runs in the first, plus you add on a Schwarbomb, a Marsh bomb for my boy. You may not know, I'm a huge Brandon Marsh guy. I am the #1 Marsh defender. So any time I get to watch Brandon Marsh and just chill out, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll just get right into things. And you know what? Yeah, I think I have Marsh in the lower third. That home run by him, it was absolutely destroyed. And I know it's Coors. I get that. But Brandon Marsh has been the spark plug, like you have sort of alluded to. He's been the Phillies' best hitter this year. Outside of Justin Crawford, it's almost, to me, I feel like it's to be expected. You saw him sort of break out last year. I know he had, the little bit of a downhill spiral in the playoffs, but that was I feel like half of the lineup anyway. So great to see from Brandon Marsh. Great to see from the rest of the Phillies lineup. We'll get into that, but give me more if you may, on Brandon Marsh. Not just in this game, but your assessments so far of Brandon Marsh as a whole to start 2026.
What I like about Brandon Marsh, man, is that when he's putting a ball in play, it's getting down for a hit. He's got some of the highest average on balls that he puts in play. The problem is that he's got to put more balls in play. The strikeouts got to come down. They came down today. He only had 1 along with the 3-run homer. So I think that one's a little bit more important than the other at-bat where he struck out. But Brandon Marsh, just a spark plug. When he's putting the bat to the ball, it's getting down. And that is what I love about him. He's got to do that more, obviously. I mean, I'm not immune to Marsh criticism. But today he made contact. He sent it a long way. And he had a fine game out on defense. I think he's the type of guy that any team could use, just a middle-of-the-order bat, somebody who's just solid. That's what I like about Brandon Marsh.
Another guy that sort of went off that I feel like really doesn't get a whole lot of attention and hasn't had the best start, I think, to the year. Bryson Stott. I feel like he really showed what he's made of this what he can be made of this year. And that 7-run first inning, if you don't get him in the mix, I feel like a lot of that doesn't happen. I mean, they completely batted around. So great to see from him. And yes, I can't. It's this entire conversation with how well the offense did. The immediate argument is Coors, but from what we saw at Bryson Stott today, could that be something like a building block into the future for success?
Definitely, man. And with Stott, the defense comes first. The defense is always going to be there. The offense that we're seeing, at least we saw today with his performance, he had 2 hits. That's just extra. I mean, when a guy can play defense, he's a Gold Glove caliber defenseman. And with the bat, he drove in a run today. He had an extra base hit, 2 hits in total. Bryson Stott kept the lineup going in that first inning when they were just turning it over. Small ball. I mean, they had the home run, but it was small ball through and through all the way through Stott and then into Marsh. That's really, really important. I mean, if the Phillies can play small ball, I think every Phillies fan is here for that.
Absolutely. Now, bigger picture, you mentioned the small ball, but we really saw the home run ball be a big factor today. But my question, is that sustainable as the year goes on? It's been this way for years. The Phillies have lived and died, seemingly, by the home run ball. It hurt them in 2024. It hurt them when they played the Diamondbacks, a scrappy team. The Mets, also a scrappy team at that point, especially with Quintana on the mound.
Yeah.
Threw a little funky with that arm slot that screwed us over. So with a game like today where you won with homers by a commanding lead, is that sort of thing sustainable when you play a team like in the next series, like the Giants out in San Francisco, or later on against the mighty Los Angeles Dodgers, the Mets, the Cubs, Padres, the big dogs of the National League? Is that a sustainable product?
It's a great question. And I think for the most part, the Phillies are going to hit home runs against any team. You'll have the game or two in there where the bats go cold and they lose. That's just what happens in baseball. And it seems like it happens to the Phillies more often. And if it doesn't happen to the Phillies more often, it seems like it does because we watch every Phillies game. I think every team's going cold at some point. So with a team like this, the home runs are going to be more sustainable than with any team that doesn't have Kyle Schwarber, with any team that doesn't have Adolis Garcia, with any team that doesn't have Bryce Harper. So the Phillies are made to hit the long ball, and it helps when you're at Coors and the ball flies. But with Marsh, that home run went into the second deck. With Schwarber, it went 460. Those home runs are going out anywhere, so I don't think, at least in this case, Coors is like an excuse for discounting the Phillies' long ball ability, at least for today. But yeah, I think when you have a team with hitters top to bottom like the Phillies, obviously Crawford's not going to leave the yard very often, but the Phillies are one of the best home run hitting teams in the league. So I'll just say yes, the home run ball is sustainable for a team that is built like this.
Well, another guy that hit a home run, and there's a million questions about, it's the $330 million man, Bryce Harper. He had a horrible, up until the very last game, WBC. But then he had that clutch home run. And I went into the season, saying that I wasn't worried about Bryce Harper. And to a point, I'm still not. But it was a little hard to ignore the start of the season that he had. But recently, he seemed to turn things around a little bit. Had a home run in the last series. Had a bomb today. So, is this, again, the start of something special for Bryce Harper?
I really liked Bryce's at-bats today. No chasing, and when he did chase slightly out of the zone, he made contact, which I guess that's really what you're looking for. And then, of course, the results came in. He walked, he had a home run, he hit a double. If Bryce Harper did that every game, he'd be the best player of all time. So Bryce Harper picking it up, I think it's a very good thing. Obviously, he goes where the team goes. So if Bryce is killing it, I think the team is going to look to their leader. Bryce Harper is the kind of player where all eyes are always on him. And when he has a game like this, it feels good for the rest of the team to follow suit. When he has a game where he goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, everyone's still looking at him, and the rest of the team doesn't really know where to go, because even if he's not this team's best player, and I'll admit he's not, he used to be, he's not anymore, but the team still follows where he goes.
good points all around. Another guy, I mean, you can go through a lot of this team. JT Real Muto had, to me, a really rough game after some promise against the Washington Nationals, hitting that home run that sort of sparked the comeback. And I talked to Fratty I talked about this on the last post-game show. I brought up the question, is that $15 million contract that JT Realmuto got by Dave Dombrowski immediately after the Phillies lost out on Bo Bichette, is that bound to be the worst contract in all of Major League Baseball by the time all is said and done?
Well, it's a good question. I think bad contracts as a whole in the MLB are not as big of a deal as they would be in a sport with a salary cap. But obviously, you look at the $15 million a year payroll on JT Realmuto, who is a guy who is not young, not at all. And also the production that he's been putting up is not great. But I gotta just say that this rotation is not as good as it is if JT Realmuto isn't behind the plate every day, or every day with some off days interrupted by Rafael Marchand. But JT Realmuto is a defensive anchor. If that goes away, then you're absolutely right. This is the worst contract on the Phillies, maybe in the whole league. But when you have that floor where he's being the defensive catcher that JT Realmuto is, you look at JT Realmuto, you hear his name, and you think of that excellent defensive catcher, then there's no problems with it, at least to me. He's not a great hitter, but every team can't have 1 through 9 straight hitters.
Now, Justin Crawford had himself the first rare bad day at the plate, which is, to me, it was shocking, because we talked about Brandon Marsh. Justin Crawford is up there with probably one of, if not the best players on this Phillies offense. And I think it was KJ. It was one of the guys that it may have been Joey booking it, that Justin Crawford is a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. And with the walk-off hit yesterday, and then coming into a game like this and going 0 for 4 with a strikeout, is that cause for concern at all? Or is this just one game and he's going to be fine?
I think this is one game. There's always going to be worries with Crawford because he hits too many ground balls. That we knew that going into the season, and we know that now. I mean, he struck out and had 3 ground outs. So that's what Justin Crawford is going to do every now and then. He's also going to have games like the walk-off against the Nats where he's fantastic. He's great on defense. He's great on offense. But it's also his 7th career game. So we have to give him time. And I think just the fact that he is still batting, .330 right now, that is amazing for a guy who's played in 7 career games. I don't know if I'd say he's a shoo-in right now. I had Connor Griffin just balling out going into the year. He had his first career hit double today. So I would still give the edge to a higher caliber prospect like Connor Griffin. But Justin Crawford has exceeded every single one of my expectations. And I'm not going to say he won't continue to do so. So obviously I'm not going to count him out for Rookie of the Year. But I mean, a ton of guys made their debuts this season in the past couple of weeks, Crawford being one of them. And I think he's been one of the best. So right now I'd say, why wouldn't he win Rookie of the Year? But I can't say he's a shoo-in.
All right. Now, let's hit the pitching side, as it looks like something good happened for the Philadelphia Flyers. Our group chat is currently going ballistic, so I'll go check in on that in just a second. But Nola, man, he had a gem, and this is this is surely needed after the rough start that he had in his first outing of the year against Texas. But that being said, he went into Coors and pitched 6 1/3, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, which is huge, and 9 punchies, 95 pitches. So, honestly, this is a step in the right direction, and this helps fuel my Nola Cy Young agenda. There, I said it. I have this pitching staff going off this year. I have Christopher Sanchez going off. I have Nola going off. I have a combination of either Zach Wheeler or Jesus Luzardo going off. Possibly Cy Young is a little bit extreme, but those even year Nola years, they always seem to come out positively for the guy. And coming off last year, it was an injury-filled year, I feel like. And that hampered a lot of things. That hampered the velo. It went down as games went on, but he had a ton of time to rest up, just like Paul George for the Philadelphia 76ers. He had that 25 game suspension, and that got his body right. He got healthy, and now he's producing and trying to push the Sixers into a playoff spot. But for Nola, I think this is a positive step in the right direction, and I think you're going to see more of these outings as times go on. I think he's going to be a guy that you look for to be a solid stay in the rotation, and I wouldn't be shocked by the end of the year if he has an ERA below, let's say, 3.5. And I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, man, you're spot on. I love this out of Nola. Baseball, just as a sport, is so momentum-based. So for Aaron Nola, even though it's the Rockies, I'll give you that it's the Rockies. This is not a good lineup at all. But for Aaron Nola, so early in this season, to go out there into a rival park that really lends itself to home runs being hit off of one of the biggest home run pitchers like Aaron Nola has been in the past couple of years, for him to go in there, punch out 9, allow 1 run, 6+ innings, that is so big for Aaron Nola. And I'm so happy. I mean, I have nothing but respect for Aaron Nola being the longest tenured Philly. It's just so great. I'm always rooting for the guy to succeed. A game like this just brings a smile to my face, and I'm just hoping that you're right and this momentum will continue to build for him.
Well, on the negative side, Zach Wheeler had a start tonight for the Lehigh Valley Honor Picks as he makes his return, hopefully for a successful return after a nerve surgery last season, which sort of derailed his season. A really Zach Wheeler-esque season, I might add, where he let up at least 5 runs to the Durham Bulls today. I'm just watching one of these highlights now. 3-0 pitch, and it gets absolutely destroyed middle to right field for a home run. And I wonder, with the injury concerns, with the age, is a bad Zach Wheeler once he comes back, is that a possibility?
It's a good question. I think that's a very good question, because I've been kind of wondering, when is Zach Wheeler going to fall off? But with a player like Zach Wheeler, he's been so good for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's been good his entire career, but he's been the best for the Phillies. I don't think we can count on a fall off until we see it. He is the guy on the Phillies, even though Sanchez has been better, even though Zach Wheeler is coming back from an injury. He's the Phillies pitcher who I trust the most, just because of his history, just because of what he's done in the playoffs, in the regular season, year-round. The injury concerns do worry me. The age does worry me. But Zach Wheeler is an ace through and through. I think he bounces back. But you're right to say that it's a possibility. Anything's a possibility. But I think with Zach Wheeler, there aren't a lot of guys in the MLB that I trust more.
Now, on the bullpen side for today, and honestly, recently, Zach Pop, for as much as I hated that signing by Dave Dombrowski, amongst to me, awful off season, that guy to me, he's been one of your better guys in this bullpen, which is totally shocking to me. The guy comes in last year. I think he had something like a 4 or 5 ERA, and you come in, and it's a deal where you have to come in and make the roster, otherwise he's gonna get cut, type of deal. So he comes in, and the Phillies, they've seemed to, with Caleb Cotham, find these guys off the street, and they come into their pitching lab, and they make them these reliable bullpen arms. A guy that comes to mind, Jeff Hoffman. Years ago, he was with the Toronto Blue Jays and Cincinnati Reds, I believe. And again, he was like this nobody that was this middle of the pack reliever, couldn't really find his way. And then he gets signed by the Phillies. I think he was, just a spring training invite or something along those lines, I think. And they fixed him. And they made him arguably the best reliever in that Phillies bullpen last year and the year before. So is this one of those situations where, they turn a guy like Zach Pop or even Kyle Buckus, who had an awful, admittedly awful start to his Phillies career, but then there's another guy that had a really solid day today?
I think you're spot on. Again, every Phillies pitcher who pitched today was lights out. Nola, then Backus comes in, then Pop. Pop struck out the side in the ninth, that's awesome to me. I mean, I'm rooting for the guy, but he's a guy who I have very little confidence in. I guess we saw one Zach perform today, not Wheeler. It was Pop this time, but
there you go.
Yeah. I don't know if the Jeff Hoffman comparisons are really right this early into the season for Zach Pop, especially when we saw him get blown up recently. But he had a great day today. And I think, like I said, momentum is so important. If the guy can throw strikes, if the guy can get outs, I'm here for him. And it is the Rockies, but you got to give credit where credit's due. And Backus, he wasn't as impressive as Pop today, obviously shutting him down in the ninth inning. But Backus is a guy who I think could really be something. Lefty, great arm angle, just something different, change of pace in the Phillies bullpen. Down the stretch, I think Kyle Backus could be one of the Phillies' go-to guys. He's never going to be Duran. He's never going to be Keller. But in a bullpen that is depleted, I really think Kyle Backus has the chance to be somebody. Especially like you mentioned, Caleb Cotham, fantastic. I think that anybody with an arm angle like that who's throwing strikes has a chance to be good.
Now, well, you brought up another guy. He didn't pitch today because it was such a blowout, but Johan Duran. He's had, I hate to say it, a little bit of a rough start in 2026 and coming off a year where he was awesome in the regular season, and then he leads the Phillies in that Dodgers series to a bases loaded walk, and it sets up Kerkering to do what he did. I really don't want to talk about it because it pains me. It pains me what happened. That crap. It was almost as gut wrenching as the Kawhi Leonard shot. It was that awful. But it's the typical Philly sports experience. Regardless, Johan Duran has looked a little rough these last couple of games, and wondering your thoughts on him.
My thoughts on him are he is the Phillies closer for as long as he is on the team, and he can throw the ball over the plate. I am not worried whatsoever about him. I think with a guy like him, he's just going to have a game where he gets one hit off of him he's throwing it so hard that the contact might just happen to fall for a hit. He's throwing 100, 102, 98 splitter. Sometimes it's going to get down for a hit when they make contact. But with a guy like him, he's so nasty. He has been good his entire career, especially as of recent. I'm not worried. I think what I'm just trying to say here is that Johan Duran is the guy, and there's nothing 7 games into the season that can convince me that he's not the guy.
Well, you speak of the guy. I don't think he pitched today, but Jose Alvarado. I've been kind of impressed. Huh?
He did not pitch today.
No, he didn't. No, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
But that being said, I've been kind of impressed by him to start 2026, and this was, to me, this is the key. He was the key to this Phillies bullpen in 2026. I feel like if he goes, the rest of the bullpen goes. And I was really worried, especially after he ended things last year, getting popped for PEDs. And I wondered, hey, is that the reason he throws so hard? But he comes back full year, and it looks like we have the Jose Alvarado that we have needed, because we lost Matt Strahm. And, Matt Strahm, to me, was not the guy, never the guy. I'm glad that, frankly, he's gone. And I think that we have something, although he's had a little bit of a rough start this year, in Jonathan Bolin, signed for the next, 6 years or so. But that still leaves a weakness in that left side of the bullpen. These lefty arms, there's not a ton outside of Tanner Banks, who has had a up and down-ish start to 2026. But so far, Jose Alvarado, positive for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Completely agree. And I don't know if I can get down with what you said about Strahm. I'm missing him. But you're spot on with Alvarado. And he's just the kind of guy you want to root for, I love Jose Alvarado. I love every time he takes the mound. He's throwing gas. He's got a solid pitch mix. I really like Jose Alvarado. And I also like what you mentioned with the lefties. And it'll take me back to Kyle Backus. He's the kind of guy who I think, in a lefty needy bullpen with Matt Strahm gone, I think he could be solid. I really do.
Well, hit me with your I'm interested to see your take on Matt Strahm. Why are you sad that he's gone?
Matt Strahm, at least for a little while, was the best non-closer reliever in the MLB. That was for the stretch of 2024 where they were on fire before the All-Star break. Matt Strahm was lights out. He had an ERA under 2, him and Jeff Hoffman. That guy is still in there. Matt Strahm is consistent, always for the Phillies. He would have his times where he would give up a late home run, but that is every reliever ever. Matt Strom, in a league where you don't see that many lefty guys just go out and be consistent. I don't care that he wasn't throwing hard like Alvarado. Obviously, that's something that you look for in a reliever. But Matt Strom is just, there was something about him on the Phillies. I don't even know how to explain it. But when Matt Strom was on the Phillies, I felt confident in a bullpen that I have never felt confident in my life. I'm 17 years old. The Phillies bullpen hasn't really been good at all until Matt Strom came around, in my life at least. So I like Matt Strom. I'm upset that he's gone.
I just think of Matt Strom, and I hate to push back. I just think, when I think Matt Strom, I think, holy God, that's a back-breaking home run. I cannot get out of my head, and haven't for months, that fastball that he hit, that he pitched to Teoscar Hernandez against the Dodgers in the NLDS. After throwing him ball in the dirt, that he wasn't touching. And then you throw him the biggest freaking meatball of all time, and he takes it opposite field, just like Teoscar Hernandez has done to pitchers across the league for years, and he gives the Dodgers a commanding lead. And this game, it's all about the momentum swings. And after that, the barn at Citizens Bank Park, it just went dead. Then they went out to LA. They win one out there because of Kyle Schwarber and his majestic bat. But otherwise, this team, because of Matt Strom, fell dead. And it feels like every time he went out there on the mound and gave up those back-breaking home runs, like the one to Teoscar Hernandez, this team just did not respond.
That one's hard to defend. I will give you that. That one's tough to defend for me as a guy who really does miss Matt Strom. But, man, that was just the end. That was the bad taste that was put in your mouth by that whole series. I don't think we can pin that on Strom. I really don't think we can. That was bad. That was bad, but nobody else in that series was doing anything. That series was another one in the playoffs where the Phillies just went dead, and Matt Strom is the guy that you think about, him and Kerkering, because those guys gave up the highlight reel plays to the Dodgers. But when you look at Matt Strom's Phillies career, there aren't many guys in this bullpen who were better than him in that time. Hoffman, and then the end where Duran was there, those are the only guys who are more consistent than Matt Strom in his Phillies career.
Now, talking, more broad as this team, goes on in the future, I think I don't know if KJ is going to come on, but I called into the 302 main shows on Wednesday, and he brought up how, oh my God, this team, they might not make the playoffs. To me, that is the most ridiculous take I've ever heard in my entire life. This team, they still have a huge core to do things. They have MVP Bryce Harper. They have Kyle Schwarber that hits 50 home runs a year. They have Alec Boehm, who years ago was the guy that led the league at one point in RBIs. That's probably a bad, a bad example. They have a Cy Young runner-up. He did today. You have a Cy Young runner-up who probably should have won the Cy Young that year, Zach Wheeler. You have even year Nola. You have Christopher Sanchez, who is arguably the Cy Young favorite this year. You have a bullpen that has Johan Duran, who, when he's on, he is possibly one of the best, if not the best, probably the best reliever in all of baseball. So to say that this Phillies team is not going to make the playoffs, sure, you can 100% make the argument that they are going to lose at some point in the playoffs. I'll give you that 100,000%. But to say that this team isn't going to win 90-plus games, isn't going to be a factor in the playoffs, it's absurd to me.
That's very well said. That's very well said. I mean, anything can happen. I said this earlier. Like, theoretically, the Rockies could win the World Series this year. It's probably not going to happen, but anything can happen. This is baseball. If there was a sport for something insane to happen, it probably would be this one. But I completely agree with what you're saying. As Phillies fans watching every single game, we are spoiled by the team that we see every day. If we were looking at this exact team with a Braves jersey on, we are saying that team is a lock for the playoffs because that team is really, really good and they are going to make waves in the league. They're going to contend for a championship. Just because we're used to them and we see them every single day and we see all of their wrongs in addition to all of their rights, we think there's a chance that they won't make the playoffs. And I think to say that this team that we watch every single day, that we give 162 games to, is not one of the 6 best teams in the National League, that's a little crazy to me. We can criticize their flaws, but we have to see that they are really, really good and that they've got a great chance to do something in the playoffs. They might not, but they've got a great chance.
Now, your key to win the World Series this year, because I think this team, they have World Series expectations, and they have since 2023. If you had to summarize it in just a few sentences, the key for the Phillies to win the World Series is what?
The key for the Phillies to win the World Series is to be hot at the right time. And that is the key for every MLB team to win the World Series. But especially the Phillies, a lineup that when they are all on, I'm not just talking about a solo home run for Kyle Schwarber and they lose 6-1. I'm talking about when every single player is playing their best baseball. That is how the Phillies win the World Series. They are talented enough to do so. We have seen them at their best. We saw a stretch at the beginning of 2024 when I dare say they had a worse team than they do now. I saw that team go 40-20 to start that season. I truly do believe that the Phillies can win the World Series. They just can't have another October where they're putting terrible swings, terrible at-bats, and then they can't get an out when they need to. If everything is cohesive, they absolutely have the talent to win the World Series. But they just got to be hot at the right time, and everybody needs to be hot at the right time.
Well, Jonah, that's a great way to end things. And before we sign off, we do this for everybody that comes on, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing your face again at some point. But for the people here watching, we've got a couple people watching. Where can the people find Jonah Castle?
The people can find Jonah Castle on YouTube at the Kelly Green Room Podcast. I haven't uploaded there in a while, but I will be getting back to that, I swear. And then on Instagram, you can find me more often on Jonah Castle Broadcasting, all run together.
Alrighty, man. That sounds good. Go follow those all on Instagram and YouTube. That's going to wrap things up for the Phillies postgame show. A little bit of a later one. I, unfortunately had some Easter weekend preparations to take care of, but wanted to thank Jonah for coming on, the flexibility, and looking forward at some point to having you on again.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This was a blast. I love talking Phils, and you're a great host, man. Absolutely.
Just want to shout out our sponsors real quick. El Diablo's, Nick's Pizza, Tick Pick, Conde Cates. Do want to say the 302 Birds crew, I think April 17th, we will be hosting a watch party down in Newark, Delaware. It is either going to be, I'm double checking now, but it's either going to be at Klondike Kate's or Founding Brothers. I'm not sure if me specifically will be able to make things, especially because of the fact that it's, in Delaware. But yes, it is the 17th, a Phillies watch party. And then the day before, we just announced this, a celebrity guest bartending event at Klondike Kate's. The Philly captain the Philly sports guy is going to be there. You've got who else? Filthy and Philly is going to be there. Frosty from Philly is going to be there. Frank Atwood, Fourth and John is going to be there. And of course, Dalton, KJ, the founders and co-founders of 302 Birds, they will all be in attendance. It's all for a great cause, the Eagles Autism Foundation. So come out, come support the great initiatives that the Eagles put on, and then join us right after at Founding Brothers the very next day, 6:30 to 9. Hopefully the Phils can get the job done there. I believe we're playing the Braves.
Ooh, that's a big one.
So should be a big one. And we'll see if I make my way down there. It's a little bit of a hike, but
yeah, man.
Regardless, it's gonna be a fun time. So appreciate y'all for watching, and go like, comment, and subscribe for the best Philly sports content in the biz. That being said, God bless and go Bills.
The Vikings.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's gone! And it is gone! It is bedlam at the bank!
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Podcast right here. You already know. Go fucking subscribe.
You are now listening to the 302 Birds Phillies postgame show with KJ McCoy, Ballpark Tommy, Dalt, and Fratty. Proudly powered by TickPick. Check out the link in the bio for $10 off your first order today.